So I'm the general manager of the Washington County Water Conservancy District here in St. George, Utah.
That might be one of the most important jobs in Utah.
It's not the most important, but it is a difficult job, and it is critical for everything that we're trying to do down here involves that. Hey,
Yes.
Before we get started, can I make a public service announcement real quick?
Yes.
So to all the guys out there, if your wife comes to you and say, hey, you need some new clothes, and you tell her, hey, just go get me something at the store, and the night before she watched the Barbie movie, you're going to end up with a jacket like this.
I like it. That's
So
awesome.
just let you know.
Very well. All right. Well, several years ago, we had this phrase kind of going around in the genre of saving water. Brown was the new green, kind of across the state, and that campaign worked. Utahns reduced water consumption by a pretty decent clip, actually. I remember taking this on myself. I decided to flip my strip, and I'm in one of those neighborhoods that my fine city zoned a 10-foot wide park strip. Don't do that in your city. And I thought, well, I can dig it out because I'm me. And I had my boys who were big, strong kids, and so we start with the shovel, and then my boys got deployed. And so I was with the shovel by myself, and it was a 70-foot by 10-foot, and I ruined my knee, I think, doing it. But it started us down the road of how important it is to have the right landscape for this state. So talk a little bit about water consumption and what we need to do going forward.
Yeah, so if you look at, and we've done a lot of studies on this, where we look at where is the water going in a typical home, or even in our commercial. And it's pretty much uniform throughout the western United States. The vast majority of our water that we could go without is going on landscaping, specifically grass. And so we look at what's going on inside the home. There's not a lot you can do. But really, the easiest, simplest water savings is to take out non-functioning grass. And when we look at the amount of non-functioning grass in the western United States, it's extremely high. So about 40% of the water that a home's using is being used on this non-functional grass.
So we ended up switching our entire yard to drip irrigated water-wise landscapes. I have no more grass, which actually is less maintenance, no mowing, no edging, any of that. Talk a little bit about how you engage the public here in southern Utah, because we've got decent snowpack in the north. That storm last night was probably pretty good for you guys.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about how do you guys, your Conservancy district, how do you engage the public?
So honestly, it's just telling the truth and going to our elected leaders and saying to them, listen, we are going to be out of water, and we're going to stop issuing building permits here. So everything we're talking about economic development is going to come to a screeching halt. And not only are we not going to grow, you're going to lay off about 30% of your employment force right now. And so this is going to be a massive thing. So what are we going to do? And our elected leaders down here in southern Utah were awesome. We have by far the most restrictive landscape ordinances. So our homes are the most water efficient in the state of Utah. We're actually going to come out with a new standard. It's going to be an ultra water efficient standard. But then part of that too is the home builders. So we reached out to the home builders and said, here's the deal. You're not going to have a job here in about 3 or 4 years if you don't do this. And they quickly responded. And if you drive out to like a new area that's growing, it is substantially different than even a home or a subdivision that was built 20 years ago.
Mayor Ramsey was our past president, is Mayor of South Jordan. She's on the water board in our area, and she always says this. And I feel like sometimes people don't listen to her. She's like, we don't have enough water to do all this, and there's no way to make it that we know of. So, I mean, we either get it from the sky or from a well, right? Somehow it comes. But when you talk about, I went to the water conference last year, and I remember the Nevada Water Conservancy District guy was up there, and he talked about water police. Literal water cops are out writing expensive tickets for misuse of water. How close are we to that?
So what's funny is we've been doing this a long time. So here in St. George, Utah, there was an ordinance that was passed in like 1918, and it had a criminal thing. So basically, if you were wasting water in 1918 in St. George, Utah, it was a criminal offense punishable by jail and about, in today's dollars, $850. So it really is just how are we going to protect our water resources? And of course, education is the number one thing. But I'll tell you, when the well starts to go dry, you're going to find out the importance of water and how to use it wisely.
Yeah, when you talk about it, just like you said, in the economic scenario where we're not going to issue any more building permits. That's when you know the rubber has in fact hit the road there. Like it's real. And so recommendations give us your best recommendations. If you could tell everyone in this room, this is what you need to do to really make a difference, a dent, and protect our water supply. What is it? Go ahead.
So the way that you've been looking at water for all these years has to change. And so I worked for Bountiful City as a young engineer, and it was one of those things we'd go, we would look at our water rights and we'd say, well, this is how much water we have and this is how much we can use. If your city is still doing that, you're idiots. Because you have to change, you have to adapt. I mean, down here, it's a little bit different. Up there, you've got the Great Salt Lake, and I've seen the statistics and the models of what happens if that thing goes dry. It's going to be devastating. And so we have to look at water differently, and there's a lot going on, and so that would be my key thing is how we thought about water 20 years ago has to change. How we're building homes has to change. If not, the consequences are very, very narrow.
So the message is we have this much water. Let's not just use it all. We have this much water. How far can we stretch it?
Yeah.
Maybe is the answer.
And this is the legacy of the state of Utah, is we came in and we looked at how much water. I mean, you could go to almost any city and they would have quickly ran out. But those people over 100 years ago would do two things. They would build infrastructure. So we have to build large dams, pipelines. And the second thing is we've got to be better stewards of our water and stretch it farther. And we can do amazing things with that.
I've always thought those Central Utah Project visionaries were tremendous. Had that not happened, we wouldn't be sitting right here. That was some amazing planning, way before it mattered, way before I'm sure people thought, we're going to build all these dams now. There's no, why?
Yeah.
But what if we didn't have that?
Yeah.
We'd be in a bad spot.
You wouldn't be alive.
Yeah. This might be sagebrush just completely. No big, nice convention center.
Absolutely. And this city has run out of water multiple times before. And I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen down here.
Well, I think your job is tough, but I think it's important. Certainly, conservation is not hard to do. There's plenty of, I'm sure like you have down here up in Salt Lake County, we have the Jordan Valley Conservancy District has a whole place where you can go learn about water-wise plants. Or you can call my wife, one of the two, because we know about them. But you can go learn how to do drip irrigation, and you can make your property absolutely beautiful and an enjoyable place to be and use very little water and make a difference.
Yes.
I'm sure you have that down here. Do you have resources?
Right up by the Dixie Rock where it says Dixie, and we have the desert garden up there with the little stream and everything like that. That's all zero-scape landscaping, and that's what we encourage, and it's beautiful. Right now, the flowers are going, so it's a good time.
Thank you very much, and
Okay,
good luck on your work.